Morning, everyone. I see quite a few familiar faces there, so you all know you can chat on the chat line, which is fairly straightforward, I suppose, or unmute and interact. So you all know it's now a Zoom trading room, where like a forum where we discuss trade fundamentals and try and increase our practical skills, rather than a class like on the Forex, another class you get with SMC. Just to reiterate that it's the difference here. And morning, everybody. I think most you already know that. And please interact. If you, I can explain different lines on the charts. Anything that can be quickly explained, not a problem. But don't forget, it's not a trading session. If you've never heard of shares before, or Forex, or any of the indicators, please train me on it. No, that's for the classes. This is just to take a step further after you've got the basics. So everyone knows that. I'm going to now share the screen because I think you're all aware of that. Please, if you're not sure, ask. And if you're more confident, then it needs a bit more detail, then just unmute and you can verbally ask. And then we can move from there. Great. Just share the screen. Obviously, you don't see it. Any problems there, let me know. Hope you can all hear me and hope you can see the screen all right. Yeah, we will start at past. We can chit chat about other stuff, but if it's trade ideas and things like that, I think it's probably better to start at past, so on time, basically. So that anyone else joining, which I hope they shall do in the next few minutes. Okay. Welcome back, guys. Anyway, we've been before. Good stuff. Just a couple more minutes and we get started. But don't forget, please bring a pen and paper just to keep handy, because you might think of something before 9:30 or after 11 o'clock, and just keep it handy so you can don't forget to ask at the next time around. And always remember, trade's an art more than a science. From the point of view, when I say that, I don't know if the pound's going to jump up or jump down in the next hour or two. We take a view, and the variables in the worldwide markets could often find that doesn't work out. But if you get a bit of skill and we discuss together, we find it works out more times than it does not. I just want to reiterate that. So I've been looking through some of the signals we had recently. If anyone complains they're not doing well out of them, I can then unfortunately have to say this, point a finger at the person complaining about it. Not that many complaints, surprisingly, quite happy to hear that. But if anyone complains about it, I can turn around and say, well, obviously you're reading the signal wrong, because the signals haven't been too bad. And we'll go through them just now anyway at past. So if you're losing on those signals, clearly you're taking profit too quick, or you're doing something wrong. That's when we can discuss that as well. Yeah, I like to try and be open in here. If I'm at fault, as people know, I put my hand up, and I'll admit it. In other words, try to cut through some of the mystique and, quite frankly, nonsense that goes on out there, to try and get to the reality of hopefully becoming more successful. It's past. We can start now. Okay, well, just start off with the fact, I will just go on a little bit of that there. Always put down big capital letters. The biggest enemy in trading, just let Farn in, Elias in, is without doubt your head, your emotional head. Without doubt, it is the number one, and that number one and number two, incorrect volumes, not the correct position sizing. Those two, without doubt, are the biggest obstacles to be overcome in trading. I always compare to golf. Golf is very simple. Hit the ball from the tee box and get it into the hole with as few shots as possible. No more complex than that. Why is it so difficult? Because, all right, a bit more to it. It's obviously a skill you got to learn and practice. But a lot of the guys, because they play with their head. You probably heard of Jack Nicklaus. He's had about 80 majors, which, so the guy might know a little bit what he's talking about. And he said himself, he didn't win most of those majors. It's the other guys lost it. What does he mean by that? He meant simply because He kept his head while the other guys were losing theirs. They start to shake. They're going to win a major. They're 3 shots ahead, and they start knocking all over the place because the head can't take the pressure. So bottom line is the discipline and keeping your head strong, not let the emotions control it. Not easy. I'm not prepared to say it's the most difficult thing of all. And I know from experience, I'm not the world's most disciplined, far from it. So I can simply empathize with you on that aspect. Is that has got to be worked on, because the science and intelligence required for this is not rocket science. But that controlling the head is. And I've seen some very clever people come short, and less clever people do very well simply because they control that head of theirs. Very important. Bring to mind somebody who got out too quick in the Japanese yen. He panicked, took the profit too quickly, and now he wanted to jump in again. But unfortunately, that ship sailed. So run with your profits. How many can honestly say when it's a stop loss, that target's reached nearly 100% of the time? When it's a target of a take profit, probably 10% of the time. Why? Because they panic with the up and down the markets. You see, I don't have it on the screen. It's just down here. I can lift it up, have a quick check if I want, but I don't have my open trades there because I don't stare it because it plays in my mind. And if you work out on the position size calculator, it's 1.7 to 1 risk reward. If you hit the TP, you're making 17 Rand. If it hits a stop loss, you lose 10 Rand. In theory, if you win 3 and you lose 3, you should be making money. Why is that not the case? Because people are panicking on their profit, take it too quickly, and hanging on their losses. The natural way to go, but unfortunately, like most natural things, comes back and bites. So that's the area got to be worked on. And look at the signals we've had recent, fed over a period of time. They're more winners than losers. So if people are losing, I can virtually say 100%. They're not reading the signal right. They're not disciplined, or they're going in too big in one and too small another one, and they're taking their profits too quickly, and sometimes modifying their stop loss too close. Some guys won't modify the stop loss. A lot of people don't do that. Let the trade run. Fair enough. With the ups and downs of the market, that's my personal opinion. I'd rather modify and reduce the risk. But if you do that, don't get it too close. It's heartbreaking to modify your stop from, unless we've got GBP CHF. Let's say you're going short on this one, and you got in at 117, call that 70. It's only 20 pips in profit. You modify to 70, pops up, stops you out, and it goes down to your target, which is maybe 150 pips away, and you're not on board. That is usually why guys are losing on winning signals. You're going to lose on a loser. Sorry to say that happens. That's going to happen. But they're losing on winners as well. And I want to discuss more of these strategies and more the arithmetic. I hate the word maths because it sounds complicated. The arithmetic behind it, so you can get in control of that, because that's where it's at. You can do 20 courses, but they don't teach you that in the course. They teach you all about the indicators and all the other stuff. But it's the head is really where we try and discuss in here. And I hope that will be of value to you. If it isn't, and majority say this is bringing me, wasting my time, move on to something else, I will do that. Okay. Hopefully put a little bit more diplomat I've just done, but you get my point. Okay, right. Let's just, before we look at previous signals, I just want to reiterate what Nikuli just brought up there. Nikuli has just cast a question on trades because he's remembered one thing. This actually is a trading room. So we can discuss other stuff, hopefully be of benefit with pleasure. But if a trade idea comes up, that comes first. Sometimes I'm still looking at the other screen and I miss it, then you reiterate or you unmute. So Roger, sorry, can you stop for a minute? I want to look at Brent. Absolutely, that comes first. So that takes precedence. So we're going straight to Brent before we go any further. Right, I'm going to put on the weekly. What am I looking at Brent at the moment? Technically speaking, before we look at even any fundamentals driving it, I would like to see it around about the 89 mark before I short sell it. I certainly wouldn't be buying at these levels, but if you're on board, I think most people are not on board. Most people have been stopped up. To be honest, including myself, I did modify the stop. In hindsight, of course, I wished I hadn't, but I'd rather modify my stop and get stopped out in a profit than leave a winner turn to a loser, which can easily happen. So I'm prepared to take that risk and actually modify the stop. But that's my way. If you prefer to leave the original stop and hang on for take profit, that's up to you. I just think with these up and downs, sometimes you're going to get stopped out. It hits TP, but I don't want to see people turn winners into losers. Okay. Now, going back to this one here, remember on the fundamental front, again, most of this is common sense. You're in business to sell oil. Now, you're not going to make much money selling oil to people, or all broke. So you don't want to bankrupt your clients, do you? But at the same time, you don't want your clients to bankrupt you. So you don't want the price at 50 because that's not going to help your cause. But you don't want the price at 150 because nobody's going to buy it, or they'll find alternate measures, or walk to work, or not fly, or whatever. I hope you see what I mean. So I personally think round about the sort of 75 to 90 is a sort of happy medium, really, of where the producers have slightly sink, maybe probably close to 80 or 75, actually. But anyway, around that level. So the ups and downs really depends on supply and demand. I mean, as you know, the Saudis, the biggest players, have brought down their production. Their biggest players, in OPEC, that is, brought down their production by 1 million barrels a day. That caused a bit of demand. We talked about the 4:30, I think it comes out, the oil inventory in the States has a bit of effect, but it's not a major. So don't have to panic too much on it, unless it's a major differential to the expected, which doesn't happen that often. So it happens, but it's not that big a deal. China's economy, it starts to boom a little bit, will increase the oil imports because they're the biggest imports of the world, as finally quite rightly reminded me yesterday. Keep an eye on what's happening in China. If they start, economy grows again, there'll be more of a demand for oil, push it up a bit. However, even if that occurs, it goes up a little bit too much, the producers might start increasing production to stabilize the price slightly lower. Because they say they don't want people suddenly finding, if that says $150 a barrel, a fortune then can be spent on finding alternative use to oil, which is the last thing they'd want. You get my point? Okay. Like, I hate to say it, the naive, useful idiots, they call it, who go onto cricket pitches and they stop the oil or whatever. They'd come out of university, haven't been around the world, and quite frankly, they're quite naive. It's not quite as simple as that, unfortunately. But anyway, so coming back to your question, technically and fundamentally, I think 90 will hold, and I think once you get a confirmation, you can sell it down again. What we look for stop loss and TP, we'll attempt that in the trading room if that does occur, probably on Monday. Some of that I doubt tomorrow, probably on Monday. Having said that, as you all now know, the CPI is coming out at 2:30 today. Will it affect oil? Absolutely. Now, I'm sorry I'm boring some guys here because they probably know it already, but I'm going to reiterate this. Why does the CPI in the States affect the oil price? Simply because most people in the world are not on US dollar. They're in US dollars in some countries like, what's that? So Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico uses the dollar, and that's a country in the Caribbean. And of course, the United States does. But most countries who import oil in their own currency. So if you've got a rand at 50 to 1 against the dollar, it's going to cost you far more than if the rand is 10 to 1 to the dollar. You get the point. So if the dollar becomes stronger for the currencies buying outside the dollar, oil therefore becomes more expensive, and vice versa. And you get nations that do not produce, like Japan, who are big economies, China, big economies. That makes it more expensive. You get the idea. So it will affect the oil price. It'll also affect gold because the dollar will be affected. And remember, gold is inversely proportional in movement to the dollar. Dollar goes up, gold goes down. That means in plain English, dollar goes down, gold goes up. Not quite as simple as that. Remember, there's a lot of fear factor out there in gold as well. But the absence of fear factor, dollar strengthens, people usually move their money into gold, into dollars, and away from gold. So just bear that in mind. So would the gold be affected? And obviously the dollar currency will be affected by 2:30. So be very circumspect about going to new trades on the NAS share. Well, you won't go on shares anyway, it only opens afterwards. That's not a problem. But the indices, gold, oil, or US dollar currencies, I would suggest you leave them alone. However, if you're already in a dollar one, don't panic. If you're in a bit of a loss, don't suddenly panic. It might go in your favor. But if you're in a profit, by the time the release comes, that's one time I would suggest you put your stop loss fairly close. In other words, let's say in the GBP USD, and you're 20 pips in profit, then I'd put it at break even. Just in case it goes against, then you're not going to lose, and it goes in your favor, then you make a lot of money. Just I hope you understand what I'm talking about. These are important stuff. If not, well, somebody else might explain it better, or I could repeat the explanation. Deflation China, that's correct. Okay. Right. You pull 85.95. Yeah, a lot of people already pulled out. I modified the stop, but I had a bit of a move down. Unfortunately, it ticked me out. But never mind. I made a bit of pucks on it. But the overall, I still got a trade out on that. I think most people are out of it. I think about 89 is a TP, if I remember right. It's been there for a couple of weeks. But bottom line is leave it alone for the time being. Don't try and get cute. Okay. Like, I don't think he's on here at the moment. He might join later on. I hope he does. Call me up and wonder back to, he put his stopped close. He got stopped out in the dollar yen. And he wants, should he go in again? I just want to reiterate, don't get your stop too close because, as I say, then you're going to miss out if it's a good trade. Give the damn trade a chance and don't let your mind play with it with the ups and downs. Very difficult. You won't listen to me when you start. I guarantee you won't. Nobody does. I didn't listen to me when I started. But with practice, you'll get frustrated when you keep making 20, 30 pips instead of 100 and 200, but you're taking a 100 pip loss on the losers. And that's why your bank balance is taking a knock. You're winning more than losing, but you're winning peanuts and you're losing big because you're not getting that part right. That must be worked on. Okay. All right. So we'll move on from Brent. We want to
Roger,
look at go for it.
I wanted to also, I think the other day you said the Canadian dollar follows also the US dollar quite
Not
closely.
slightly, it's not closely, slightly. In a way, it does. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so I wanted to ask for like, for example, trades like CAD, JPY. Also, do you suggest moving the stop loss also about 20 pips closer to the CPI?
Just 1 second. Now, it's a good question, but I'm going to try and word this carefully so all don't misunderstand. All currencies and everything will be affected one way or another, some more or less. That's a fact on the CPI release. I want to make clear, as I know, Canada is an oil exporter. America's got oil, but those Keystone pipelines were shut down because of the environmental guys said it's not a good idea. So they were producing, even exporting a bit. And in fact, when they were going, they were the biggest in the world, believe it or not, but not so much now. Right. Canada does a lot of business, very similar cultures. It's a bit like New Zealand, Australia. And although it's a bigger country, it is because of the weather and all the rest of it. It's a very much a resource country, less population. So in a certain way, it does to a certain extent have, shall we say, a bit of sympathy with the dollar and its movements. Put it that way. But it often can be independent. If oil goes stays above $90 and some good stuff comes out on the resource side of Canada, and we have a couple of hassles, not hassles, rather, good inflation figures. So they might talk about bringing down the interest rates rather than moving them up. Then you could have an area where you buy the Canadian, sell the dollar, or the Canadian will go into the strong zone, the dollar slightly weak zone. So it's just a sort of a guide, that one, Nicky. I just want to make that absolutely clear.
Okay.
I know very well what everyone does. We all do. We try to get some sort of finite system on it. Unfortunately, that's not going to occur. You get some more experience as we discuss and ask questions. Thank you, Nicky. But there's always going to be some variables out there. Just bear that in mind. So we're trying to get it slightly where we're not going to have an 80%. Trying to give it around about the 60 to 70% probability, not take a profit too quick, and then you should make money. I do it that way, and it works for me. So it should no idea why shouldn't it work for you? Same principle. What screws up, as I say, is we're looking often do this for the no-brainer, the holy grail of the pill that solves everything. Quite understandable, doesn't occur. You've got to always remember this. Sorry to go on and on and on about it. You've got to remember this. To make the market work, you've got to have a difference opinion. You've got to have a counterparty. When you buy, you've got to have somebody who thinks you're wrong. Otherwise, nobody's going to sell it to you. If you want to sell, you've got to have somebody who thinks you're wrong. Otherwise, they're not going to buy it off you. That's once you get a no-brainer, you don't have a market. I know the price of Brent is going to go up. Fine. How do I get Brent? I can't because nobody's going to sell it to me. Would you sell it to me? Would you sell Brent to me if you know it's going to go up? No, no, of course you wouldn't. Now you know it's going to go down. You want to take profit. You can't because no one's going to buy it off you. Only people buy if you I think you're wrong. So whenever you enter the market, remember the reason why you go in the market because somebody thinks you're wrong, and you have to prepare to be wrong a few times to make the market work. It cannot be 100%. Otherwise, you don't have a market. Never mind the BS you see on Instagram and other nonsense out there. They're selling you a product. like a robot or a broker or whatever it is. That's what they're after. Just remember that. Think a little bit. Okay, now we'll look at. I hope that answers your question, Nikki.
Yeah, you did. Thanks.
Okay. Anything else, or should we move on to AUDNZD? Okay, Nikki, should we move on?
Yeah, you can move on.
Thanks once again. Invaluable, some of these questions. It's just got to be clarified because this is where we get the tripping zone at the beginners. The quicker we get these little trip zones out the way when you begin, the less suffering you had when I started. I didn't want to give me these little bits and pieces, so I had to suffer a long time before I worked it out on my own. Right. Okay. AUDNZD, very similar currencies, similar cultures, very similar. As you can see, it's a bit of a range trade at the moment. We had one the other day out. We didn't send it out, just a bit of fun to trade them. Some guy thought it was a sell, some thought it was a buy. I got that one wrong. I got it wrong. I thought it might be a bit of a bounce. Didn't occur, it came off a bit. Having said that, it's quite a decent range of 185 pips. So just check the range. Trying to do it is across there. It's up there. A quicker way to do it is, if you know you got the mouse, that little bezel, whatever you call that thing in the middle of the mouse. What do you call that? That scroller in the middle of the mouse. Just push it down like that. Like that. Look at it. It comes up. And if you want to get rid of it, left click and it goes away. So it's much quicker than going to there every 5 seconds. There's a little bit of a tip for you. Right. This is the range at the moment. There's plenty of range. Indecision candle. It's only 9.5 hours old, but it's been indecision. Indecision yesterday. Bit of a hurdle there. A bit of a hurdle there. A bit of a hurdle there, etc. So if you want to buy it, I'd buy it there. And then you're up about 50 pips. Modify your stop. You're doing okay. I've got CAD JPY. I'll come to that in a minute. You asked that question. I'll come to that in a minute. We can move the stop. Yeah, I'll come to that in a minute. Right. Okay. So would I join it now? My problem with joining it now, indecision, it didn't get follow through yesterday. It's not getting much follow through today. 20 pips time, it's got that hurdle. 50, nearly 60, call it 55 pips time with the spread, it's got that hurdle. And then with 80 pips, it's got that hurdle. So it's no follow through, 3 hurdles. And you've got to have a stop down here to make it work. So you even if it gets there, it can't get a risk reward. You got to aim there. So you got to get that to get there. No, it's like running against me in 100 meters, and you're running on the hurdles. I'm going to beat you because I don't have hurdles to jump over. Same sort of principle. The wheel of the mouse. Thank you, Pietro. Just push down the wheel of the mouse, and like I'm going to do quickly now, push down, there it appears. Just a little bit of a tip, makes it easy than faffing I'm going over there. And what you do then, you I'm pushing down, you left click, and then you hold it up to there. It says 4081. That's points. We're not after points, we're after pips. So that is 408 pips. Quick, easy way. You can check it out doing that. Okay, very important. Okay, so AUD, USD, like I said, I would definitely leave this alone. I strongly advise you do as well. Whether you take that advice or not, it's up to you. You're over 18. It's your money. It's your assessment. And I could well be wrong. You could well be right. Hey, Gerard, you've been at a couple. I thought I'll leave it alone. I didn't say you were wrong, but leave it alone. You've jumped in and done pretty well out of it. So, yeah, I'm just suggesting that my advice to leave this alone. If you want to buy or sell it, that is your case. Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, go
so
for it.
you've explained it on the time frame of a week. Sharon was asking it on a daily time frame.
Oh,
The same?
Sorry, Farley. I thought it was on the daily. I do that all the time. Please bring me up. I tried to do it on the daily and switch the weekly for. I forgot I was on the weekly. I do beg your pardon. We do it on the daily. You're quite right. Sorry, I missed that. And look at the chart. Look at the other screen explanation. Thank you. Now, this confirms that I might even be selling it on the daily, because to buy it, you got that problem, this problem here, this problem here as well. I wouldn't touch it actually, but this is actually looking like it could be coming off. It's where are we going to go? It took 1.5 days to get there, couple of days to get there, nearly 5 days to get there. 40 pips for 5 days. Enough meat on the bone? I don't think so, but I think the property could be a bit of downside there. Sorry about that. Fine. Thanks for reminding me. But the weekly backs up. I wouldn't be buying it. Day looks like it might be a possible short. Hey, Jesus, man. I'm just going to mute you there. Just remind just now to unmute. What the hell that was all about. Yeah, bit of resistance there. This is on the 4 hour. We're going to stop up there, 30 pips. That's peanuts. Does anyone see a trade here? I'm trying to find one for you. I can't. I don't want to push it, but I just can't find one. But I'm leaning towards a sell, a Sharon rather than buy. Sorry, I was on the weekly. My mistake. Look at the chart. But I agree with you now. If I had to go in, I'd probably look a short on that one. I agree. But I just don't think there's enough reward for the risk taken. Simple as that. Yeah, I know. I was jumping on something else. My mistake. I would leave that alone. Yeah. Some of the guys been trading before, like Farnham and Pietro, would agreeing with me as well. Nicky would leave it alone. I think Gerard did. These guys they've done a couple of trades. They're not first timers. And so I think we should leave it alone. Okay. Okay. Right. I'm going to unmute you. I hope he's gone now because I need to remind me if I'm going in the wrong direction. Thanks, Farney. He's he's the chairman of the oversight committee in the trading room. Just promoted him. CAD JPY as a reminder. Thank you.
Thank you. Remember the rewards.
Yeah, there's no rewards. You're doing it for free. You're doing it out of love. You're not going to get rewards. It's pure. It's voluntary. You're chairman of the board on a voluntary basis. Right. Where's the signal? Let's have a look. 106. Oh, yeah, that's 60 pips in profit. Hey, now here's a good example. Remember how we all panicked? Well, you guys panicked. I can't say I did, to be honest. When it's looking not so pretty a couple of days or so ago. When did this come in? What was the date? 8th of August, 10th today. Yeah. Right. Thank you, women. It was Women's Day. Pushed it up a bit. Good stuff. Well done, ladies. But seriously, everyone's starting to panic when it comes off. They're staring at the red, panicking. You got your strategy. You got your volumes. You worked out your risk. Hide it. Don't stare at it. Let it do its thing. Check it now and again if it's worth moving the stop loss. Simple as that. Now look at it now. We're happy chappies now. We're 60 pips in profit. Now, you might say, I'm going to hang on for TP. I think it's going to get there. I don't want to get stopped out in the noise. I'll leave my stop where it is. That's free to do that. It can happen. Good enough. Or you can say, I'm going to reduce the risk or take it out altogether. Now, with a 60 pip difference between the entry and where it is now, to take the risk out completely, it's certainly not putting a stop loss in my opinion, too close. So if you want to modify your stop, I think you can put it maybe at 106.80. I think that's where I've got mine, actually. Let me check. Sorry. Where's mine? 106.90. Okay. I'm at 106.90. Hey, that's coming out. Looking a bit iffy earlier on. It's starting to come right. Okay. So what I suggest is maybe 106.90, 106.80 or 106.90. I'll leave it in your cable hands because I hate to get to 106.90, stop you out and go on to target. And the guys at 106.80 still in it. So 80 or 90, something like that. It's a reasonable distance between the market price and the stop loss, and yet you won't lose on the trade because it's in a profit anyway if you stopped out. I agree with you, Cooley. I agree with you. Technically speaking, I think it's got a lot of potential. That's why we've got a target. And what was the target? 108.10. Where's that now? Up here somewhere. Up there somewhere, yeah. I tell you what, if it gets to 108 and you get a bit of noise, which you're very light to get. If it goes up to 108, especially quickly, very light, because some profit taking it at the round psychological figure there. What you can do is move your stop a little bit closer to 20 pips, or you can take it, or you can cut your position. As long as you haven't got a micro. You've got a micro, you can't clearly. But if you've got more than a micro, you can cut your position. In other words, bank maybe some volume and leave the rest to continue. I do that quite a lot. Hope you all understand that and hope you know how to do it. Okay, if you don't, tell me. Okay. Right. CAD JPY modify, and hope you understood what I was saying. Not too quick. Gets to 108, bit of noise. Might be worth banking somebody a trade, let the other run, move your stop up. If it comes off, so be it. If it continues on, you're on board. If it looks still pretty strong, Why would you want to be out at 108.10 where the TP is? You can modify that upwards, modify your stop, maybe take some more off the table. I've done that. I did that with Disney the other day. Started with 40, banked to 30, banked 10 to 20 until I was eventually stopped out. So you can do that as well. You can add to a winning position. Let's say you got in at like a 106.63 like this one, and you still think it's going to go up a bit, a lot. You can maybe go in with another one. You've modified your stop in, so you're going to make a profit on it anyway. And then you can put another one in, maybe at 106.9 to your stop. And then now you got two on board. If it doesn't work out, you might lose a couple of bucks, but not much. If it works out, you've got double the volume because the first one you've taken the risk out. So if let's say your risk, what people understand, your risk is let's say 500 Rand. Doesn't really matter. 500 Rand. Once you modified your initial trade into break even or better, you've taken the risk out of that trade. So you can enter another one if you feel it's worth it, of course. So you haven't doubled up. You actually only got one risk trading. The other one, the risk has been taken out. So your risk is back to only 500 over. There's ways of doing that. If it comes to the party, you've got double the volume, but only got the normal risk of one volume. Hope that makes sense. You've got to get the idea of these little tricks of the trade. And then this basic arithmetic stuff. This ain't bloody computer science job.
Sorry, Roger, just repeat that. I missed you there for a second. Say that again.
Okay. I want to make it a round figure. I'm going to go to gold because it's a bit easier than 1.07632 on 0.0. Bloody hell. Tongue twisting stuff. So I'll use gold. Right. You got in at gold. Where do you get a gold? Yeah, make it 1900. There we are. It's 1900. See how round figures got a bounce there the whole day. You got at 1900 and your risk is 500 Rand. Whether it is or not, I don't care. That's what it is for this particular example. So your risk is 500 Rand. I don't care in a dollar account, 500 Rand to make the understanding there. Hey, came down to there, 1900, and look at the 200 days. See how these things work, eh? And it bounced back in where it was, 30th of June. Right, you got it 9, you put your stop in, and you worked it out with the calculator that if I go with, let's say 1 milli, that's 10 micros, 0.1, that's 10 micros, your risk is 500 Rand, argument's sake. Right, your TP is, let's say, make it right out the bloody way. Make it 1970, unlikely, but let's say it is, so you get the idea. Right, now you got to 1900, it's now 1919, you've moved your stop up to 1910. So not only is the entire risk being taken out of that initial gold trade, you're $10 in profit. Now you think, I still see upside. I'm going to risk another 500 Rand by going in at 1920, right? It's 1920 the gold price and do whatever the TP is. Then you might say, I'm going to put my stop loss at 1910. You got it. So now you've got two open trades of gold, but your risk is completely risk-free. Because if it comes and stops you out, you lose $10 an ounce, but you've already built in from the previous trade $10 an ounce. So your stop loss on both trades at 1910. So what point behind is, if it comes back and stops you out, you've lost nothing. You haven't made any money, you lost nothing. But if it doesn't, goes up, you make twice the money because you got two trades on board. So now the potential upside is two trades, and if you lose out, there's no risk. That's a pretty nice scenario to be in. You get the idea. You got that, Chris, or Pietro, whoever asked the question? Well, Michael, you would, because you sound like a clever guy.
Yeah, I got it. I do that as well, Roger. Sorry, I just missed your explanation earlier. Yeah, but I do that as well. Yeah.
Okay. Because my explanation, sometimes my English or what can be a bit somewhat convoluted. Remember, I've only got one language in my head. We do this for a while, a lot of the jargon or whatever. So just ask again, and remember, don't be embarrassed. It's not your first language. Somebody might explain it better in your own language. Most important is whether you feel foolish or not, I'm not worried about. I'm more worried about your bank balance get smacked by mistakes we can control. What happens to gold price? We can't, but we can control the other stuff. Just bear that in mind. Michael does it a lot. Well, lucky him. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Just teasing, Michael. Okay, let's move along. Let's go back to the trades we got going at the moment. They're not too bad. Let's have a look at a few of them. We discussed that one. EURCHF been bobbing around like a cork in the ocean. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's probably trading but it seems to be trying to come right, start to come off again. So it seems to be trying to come right. Japanese yen has hit TP. Remember, Dando, you asked about today, don't chase it. You took on board what I said. Great stuff. Okay, don't chase it. It's a pity. A lot of guys, unfortunately, get kicked out. Some modified stop losses, a decent place, kept a distance, still came back. One of those things. Some guys might not have or got the stop loss far enough away they're still on board. Well, if they didn't move the TP, they won't be on board anymore because they clearly hit the TP. The TP is 143.50 and the current price is 143.75. So clearly that hit the TP. So that was a nice one. NZD CAD is a bit slow. Last I looked, but seemed to be trundling along. NZD CAD. When was the entry again? 81.55. It's a bit of what do you call it? Anna Marie's not here. Anyway, it's crabbing. That's right. It's crabbing a bit, but at least it's in profit. I think it's still too close to get cute with your stop loss. 20 pips away from entry. If you got it at a better price, then you can look at it. But if you got it in 55 or lower, I would suggest not. You can maybe reduce risk a bit by lowering your stop, but don't get a break even. It's a bit too close. But if you got in a little bit late on it, did yourself a favor at a higher price, go for it. If you got it at 65 or something, then you can maybe modify to break even. Just want to reiterate that again. You get a signal to sell the NZD CAD at 81.30. The price when you see the signal, because you weren't in front of your computer, you had to drop off your daughter at school or whatever. What's a bit early for that? But anyway, never mind that. You had to do something. And it's now 81.50. For goodness sake, don't put a sell stop in, guys. You go in at market because you're getting a better price. All you're doing by putting a sell stop is I don't want to buy that price. I want to buy at a worse price. Well, that's some negotiator you are. You know what I mean? I want to sell my house for $1 million. Oh, no. I want to pay 1.1 million. All right, go for it then, Beck. I don't even have to think about it. Don't discuss with my wife. You close me immediately. Here you are, mate. You get my point. So, yeah, if it's a better price, go to market. What a pleasure. If it's a worse price, you got to redo the calculations to see through the calculator just to check if it's worth it. Might have missed it. You got to wait for it to pop back up again to get it, or the ship has sailed. Just bear that in mind. Hope that all made sense. If it didn't, somebody else might be able to explain it better than me. I don't know, but it's very important. Too many guys, I check on them, and so I can't check it all. We've got a lot of people out there putting sell stops in. In other words, they're saying, I want to get involved in this at a worse price, not the price at the moment. Why would you do it? And the reason why you do it, because you think it's the God sent the signal and it's a precise area. No, it ain't. I can say go in this price and it might jump up 20. It might not. I don't know. Don't try and pick bottoms or tops. Just make sure your strategy, you're happy with it, and then you go for it. Okay, so here that's doing that hit TP. CAD doing NZD. CAD well, those are recent ones. We're out of all the others, so that's fine. Oh yeah, we did one in the trading room. Wasn't sent out. That was yesterday. That was a Women's Day trade. If it goes wrong, we'll blame Women's Day. If it goes right, who do we get? Who gets the accolade? Women again. Oh no. Okay. My Men's Liberation Organization is taking a bit of a smack lately. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, joking apart, it's profit at the moment. Got an 88. It's been dancing around for about 30 to about 10, 15 pips in profit. At least it's in profit. Leave it alone. Don't try and alter the stop. You might bring your stop loss down by 20 pips. You'll still take a knock, but don't bring it down to entry. It's too damn close. Let's hope the trade works out. But all of them so far are either hit the TP or in a bit of a profit. So that's not a bad comeback. So anybody out there, and not so much the trade room out there, complains about our signals. If they're battling on the signals there, clearly they're doing something wrong. It's not our fault. I try to maintain credibility. I know I'll get a few wrong, but promise you, I don't like taking a knock because I go myself. It's not a financial knock. It's a credibility knock. Okay, so I don't like it. I hate it, in fact, but it happens. Just got to accept it. If you ride a motorbike, you're going to fall off at some stage. Just however good you are. Right. I look at the NASDAQ with pleasure, but if you want to go for it, I'm not going to. Now, when he says, what he's saying when he says a 1 hour time frame, guys, he's saying to me, I'm a short-term trader on the NAS. NAS is, and the Dow, one thing is you can do shorter term, by the way, because of the volatility. It's much bigger move than all the others. I wouldn't do on the euro dollar, but I could certainly do on the NAS because it's a bigger mover. The problem is with the NAS and the Dow, the spreads are wider than the currencies. Just bear that in mind. If you go in and you take an 8 pip a profit, you will lose because the spread is wider than 8 pips. Bear that in mind. Okay. So go back to Rory Sung's question. What would I do on the hourly one? Probably sell it there, take it down here. What's that distance here? Is it enough? Meat and the bones. 130 pips on the 1 hour. See the difference? Very rarely get a 130 pip movement on a 1 hour on a currency. So I'm assuming that's what he means. If he does mean that, he's quite right. If he doesn't mean that, you're absolutely wrong and I'm right. Hard bloody luck. Sorry about that. Couldn't resist that. Okay, but yeah. At the moment, if you range trade it, maybe move down. I personally, a little bit careful of it because remember this is an hour trade, and at 4.5 hours time, we're going to get the major fundamental coming out, as we all know, that could send it shooting up there or shooting down there or do nothing at all. Who knows? But at the moment, if there's no CPI coming out or anything like that, and you're not you guys, but Roy Sang or a range trader on the NAS, it looks to me like it could be a bit of a sell down here. That being in mind, even I see a little bit of sell there, it's not good enough for me to take. So I'm going to miss this trade. Whether I'm right or wrong, I'm going to leave it alone. But Rory, if you see an arranged trader, you see a bit of movement there, it's probably like to pull back a little bit on the short term. That, by the way, guys, is not a trading idea, not a trading signal. Absolutely bloody not. It's just for answering this particular gentleman here, which because I'm making the assumption, I might be wrong, he's a short-term range trader, then I'll be looking at maybe some downside. But don't try and get cute if you haven't done that before. Okay. Hope I'm on point with that one. Okay, we're all good now. Okay, so the trades got out at the moment. There's not many I'm looking much at the moment to get into. I don't. Anyone took the trade idea we discussed yesterday on the GBP CHF? Remember, we discussed that yesterday, and we said if it gets around about the 160 mark, sell it short. Did anybody act on that? Because it didn't happen on the trading room; it happened later on in the day. Did anybody actually act on that and take that trade at the recommended higher levels? Did you do it, Fania? Anybody?
No, Roger, I did not do it. I wasn't my computer, so when I looked again, the best that I could get was at 1158, if I recall correctly.
Okay. Yeah, probably above 6 being better, but 5.8 would probably just the borderline of chase it, but you're all right. But remember, it was a day off. A lot of guys went out to Bry or took their good lady out and treated her. I hate to warn you, ladies, you go out with me. My culture's the other way around. Ladies' days, you take me out and you buy me. I take you out and you pay the bill. That's my cultural area, ladies. That's probably why I'm being left alone. Oh no. But joking apart, a lot of guys had other stuff to do, so fair enough. Okay, so nobody took it yesterday, fair enough. Right, I would suggest you do the same now. Leave that alone. Yeah, if it gets back up above 1160, I'm looking for a short, but not the moment. Yeah. It's not a bad culture in Cooley. Trouble is, a lot of women, you got to go out with them. They've got to agree to go out with you, and when that comes to it, they don't always agree on that part of it, and that can be a little bit of a minor flaw in my plan. No, US dollar. I'm going to be using on the CPI. I'm going to be doing for the people out there, I'm going to use the euro dollar simply because it can set the trading room to do that. No other reason. If you prefer the dollar yen, you can. It's up to you. We don't have a clear sell or a buy. Tomelo, there's no clear sell or buy in the CPI. That's why we have a buy, sell, stop. We don't know. That's why we have a provision for an upside and a provision for downside to see what gets clicked in. And remember, like the non-funds, you might be in a whiplash. Both, there's no guarantee risk-free. People like it because they found the error probabilities risen from 65% on normal trades to about 80%. That's pretty good for me, but don't start thinking of 100%. 100%, what they say, 100% is when the sun will rise tomorrow in the east. That's 100%, but otherwise not trading. AUD for a buy. Change time frames. Oh, the daily. Leave that alone now. If you want to use it for the CPI, you can do it, but don't do it for now. Okay. Okay. Before I answer the AUD JPY, I want to go to the spreads quickly. I actually take a bit more time to explain that. So the AUD JPY first. I'm going to be on before I looked at it. You might be right. I'm not a lot of hope on this one. Let's see what we can get in that one. I looked this morning, didn't see much there. I don't know what you're looking for there. I presume you're looking for maybe a bit of downside. Japanese not that strong. In a neutral, not even a weak or strong zone. Few sellers come in, a little bit of resistance there. Is enough meat on the bones to take it down there. 160. All right, it's enough meat. We can even take it down here. Yeah, that's 100 points, 100 pips, sorry. Stop up there. That's 80. It's not going to work. I can see more reasons to leave that alone and go for it. That's my opinion. Anybody else want to go in for that? Anyone want to do this trade? I've stated my case. I'm an LIA guy. Anyone want to support Farney on this one, a buy or a sell or whatever he wants to do? A buy, sorry, to buy it. Wait for a high price to buy it. Okay, that's a good idea, Gerard. That's a very good idea. No, he's looking to buy, not to sell, Gerard. I'm just teasing you. You've been around enough, so I can tease you. So I wouldn't tease a beginner because I'll confuse them. Guys have been around a bit, I will tease. Okay, he wants to sell it. It could be it's gone up to there. It looks like a downside. I agree with you. I presume you're looking to sell down here. The problem, where you put your stop, below. You put it up here, you can't get it. You're gonna have to put it here somewhere. Let's look at the 4-hour. On the 4-hour, you can get a stop maybe above here. Take it to 70, you can take it down here. Yeah, you can probably squeeze on the 4-hour. But then you got the problem of the 4-hour, you got this problem here in 20 pips time. Then you got this guy, slightly less of a problem, 35. And then a bit of a problem here at 60 pips. Quite a few hurdles to get your TP. That's not the strongest. Aussie ain't at the moment, but JPY is not the strongest the world's ever seen either. Let's look at the hourly chart. Anything much happening there? See a few buys already coming in. I'm not keen. Anyone want to support Farney on this one? I'm not keen on the sell. Do you want to support him there? If you don't get Gerard supported there, Farney, and he's the Rambo of the traders, I'll be a bit wary myself. Peter's like me. Okay.
I'm taking your second opinion. Thanks. I'll leave it alone for the time being.
Yeah, because Pietro and myself are senior members of the Chicken Club. So, and we're agreed, leave it alone. So we're the Cluck Cluck Club. Oh, dear. Just getting near the weekend. I'm starting to having some fun. See you at 2. Okay, Martin. Good stuff. See you at 2. Okay. What are we going to look at now? Oh, yes, spreads. Right. A lot of people ask about wider spreads. Cost it's all about economy of scale. It's about a business. Best way I'd explain it is this. Farney, I've got a shoe shop and Farney buys 10,000 shoes per month from me. And then you get Gerard, who pops in once every 6 months to buy a pair of shoes. I'm not knocking Gerard. I'm glad he comes to me instead of some other shoe. But quite frankly, Farney is going to get a better price for the shoes than Gerard is. Because he buys 10,000 a month and Gerard 1 pair every 6 months. You get my point. It's called economy of scale. Now, a lot of brokers, especially internationally, will give less cost, tighter spreads. Why do they give them? Because there's bigger money involved. I'm going to go along to Charles Schwab, for instance. That's a big broker in the United States, and say I'm going to deposit $1 million or $10 million or $5 million into your account, into my balance, into my trading account, and then you'll get John goes in and is going to put in 1,000 rand. What's that? About $6 in the account. Who's going to get lower costs? Obviously myself. You get it. So the reason why I have wider spreads is because I'm going to be honest with you. The balances are so very low. I mean, almost staggeringly low. Anybody overseas see these balances and they'll just won't understand it. It's so low. They won't compute how anyone can open an account with as little as about $10, $20. They just think I'm joking, but people do. A large amount do. So it's like going into the bank. I go in, I'm going to deposit R1 million. I don't stand a queue. I go to the manager or whoever. Another person wants to spot it 20 Rand. They stand the queue and they get the highest costs because the bank's got to make money. And at 20 Rand, I'm going to horribly honest, you're a nuisance. So, because they got to cost money to put in the books. Human beings get paid by the hour, have a salary divided by the hour. It costs them money. Are they going to recuperate it from 20 Rand? No, they're not. So they've got to have higher costs to recoup some of that. Otherwise, it's a loss leader. Simple as that. Okay. You can put several 100,000 in, then you can talk. If you're putting bugger all in, you can't. It's just the shoe story. Gerard, unfortunately, I'm not going to negotiate with him. If he wants to take his business elsewhere, I don't care. One pair of shoes every 6 months. Now, Farney says, hang on a minute, I'm going to take my 10K. I don't like that, actually, because Farney will have me under the sun. If he takes his business, it could be a problem. It's just economy of scale. Actually, it's common sense if you think about it. Hope that was all clear. I don't be horrible, guys, but the only value, unfortunately, the poor have is to a democracy, and they got one man, one vote. That's why they're often cuddled up and jumped and chased after, because they're chasing after not currency, but they're chasing after votes. But from a business level, unfortunately, not so much. Okay. Right. Any questions? Anything all clear? Anything else you want to look at? I'm very reluctant to go into gold, oil, dollar, or indices before CPI. But if something else that jumps out, it'll all be affected one way or another. Anything else you want to have a look at? Good technical area of a potential buy or sell. Please mention it. Or anything you're in, you want to chat about. Anything you're a bit nervous about, you want to chat about. Is it going to whatever, anything like that we can do. Yeah, that's your Rambo. I've been missing that because I said I'm chairman of the board of the Cluck Cluck Club, the CCC, chair of the board of the C Cubed. I'm chairman of the board of the C Cubed, the Cluck Cluck Club. Okay, because I'm trying to get this, and every time we wait for the pullback, just about to jump in, wait for a few more pullback, bloody thing jumps again. Well, sodding done. Okay. Monthly chart. This is scary. Going back to 2006, it's the highest ever been. If you want to start looking at targets, that's where you use a Fibonacci extension, guys. Hope you all know that. To find a target there, if you're going at these levels, you got to use a Fibonacci extension to find it. You can't use history. Yeah, but the thing is, you did that well. Your nails might have been gone, but you can afford to go and buy another set of nails with the profit, so you're doing okay.
Yeah, no, that was my biggest concern, is that it's just continuing higher and higher and higher, and
Yeah.
I can't see why. So that's why I didn't go in.
Yeah, well, I think of the same reason. I mean, I can see why, because obviously the people are buying it, no more, no less. But I take what you mean. It was more rational. I could have done maybe a bounce to this level, but I was scared. What I was looking for, I was hoping to get it to pull back to there. We did get a trade out the other day, remember? We thought that, and it came back and it took us out. Thank goodness we went in again, and it more than made up for it. And that was a little bit fairly recent to remember that. So I thought maybe get a better pull back to these sort of levels to buy it. And the bloody thing didn't, or if it did, I missed it. Yeah, buy the retracement. Don't sell the bloody thing. Buy the pullbacks, yeah. Until it suggests otherwise, I am not keen to sell the Swiss franc. Technically or anything. Fundamentally, I'm not at this stage. I agree. I think probably most people agree. A bit overvalued. You've heard of Big Mac index, the Big Mac index, where it's let's say 100 is the New York price of a hamburger, and you take price in other countries, and these are called the Big Mac index, and it's about 30% higher in Switzerland than New York, and we're about 45%. So they're about 30% overvalued, and we're about 55% undervalued. So we should be about 8.90 to the dollar to make the Big Mac index on parity. And their Swiss franc should be, I don't know, probably about 140, 130 to the dollar. But there's so many other variables involved. That's more fun economically than anything else. So don't buy your hamburgers in Switzerland, buy them in Joburg or Cape Town, or buy them in South Africa. Because Go on, go on.
When you mean, so you know with the CHF GPY, and then you can see it's going up. So when you say buy it on a pullback, do you mean like simply when the one candle goes back down, and then so you obviously get a better price at the pullback at the bottom part to buy there. So when it increases again, then you obviously make your profits.
Yeah, the only thing I disagree with that is the when. There's no when in this game. If it does, sorry, mate.
Oh, okay. If it
But
does.
yeah, but I'm just being boringly pedantic. But yeah, basically, yeah. If it comes back to some support, then the person say, well, the support level is 200 pips away. Why don't sell it down there? I'm very, very reluctant to sell that. If I try to sell it, it might only come off 20 before it goes up again. But it's got to pull back a hell of a long way for me to start buying it. I've missed it. Well done, Mr. Rambo. But the Cluck Club continues to keep missing it. But so be it. There are other opportunities, so be it. You got to be honest with you and say to yourself, am I a chicken or am I a Rambo? And be honest with yourself. I'm a bit of a Cluck on that one at the moment. More like I like that, the Cluck Club. Yeah. So, Nikki, are you a Rambo or Rambo female special forces? Yes, there's a book by a guy called Brad Thor called the Athena Project, where they get females in on special forces, where they're all beautiful, but they're all highly trained, because all the baddies don't think, woman, they don't realize they're all highly trained. So, are you a female special forces? Then you can look at buying at 164. Even here, you could look at it, but I'm gonna miss it. Safety first club.
Yeah, for now, I think I'm a member of the Cluck Club. Maybe
Okay.
later. Maybe later.
Maybe later. Okay. We'd love to have you a member, eh? Ram, I've tried to recruit Gerard, but he refuses. He looks down his nose at us, actually. We're beta males. He's an alpha male. Chicken. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Gerard says chickens, I eat them. Anyway, talk enough rubbish. Let's move on. Okay. Right. So yeah, we'll move on from that. Anything else? Have I missed anything? I hope you understood what I said about the spread. I hope I asked your questions basically. Right. If there's any other trades that takes precedence, please. If I miss it, unmute and tell me, because I'm looking at the screen and I missed a request, or finally remind me. Hang on, Sharon asked a question like just now to make sure we're on the right bloody daily, not the weekly chart or whatever. Please, he's a chairman of the oversight committee, unpaid, like I said, and anyone else if they want to do that. But in the meantime, shall we go back and do a bit of strategy training for the guys here? Should we do that? Yeah. Well, a couple of CPIs have been more as expected. Okay, right.
Go for it.
Okay.
There's 52 people attending. I think it's a good opportunity.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I've just noticed that. Wow. Bloody brilliant.
Just before we go on, there is a request for
Thank
Euro AD. There is a request for Euro AD from Nyan Dando. I don't know what he wants to do with it though, or she. I do apologize.
Okay. EURAUD. I'm sorry, Peter. I just had a WhatsApp from Gerard saying he's a bloody chicken. He's a Cluck guy. Ignore him. Oh no, I'm a member as well, so I better go and look at it. EURAUD. Okay. What do you want to do with this one, apart from nothing at all? Actually, hang on. Before you say anything, good idea. Hey, finally, good idea. Let's use this one as our strategy. We're going to combine two for the price of one. A genuine question, and we can use it. We'll kill two birds with one stone on this one. Two birds, two chickens, Gerard there. Okay,
Yes.
so we'll do this one. Right, let's get this out of the way. We'll see what's happening there. Right, first of all, the previous high there was in April. We're now in August. That's what, 4 months ago? Well, 3.5 actually. Remember, it's just taken that out. It hadn't closed above it. There's a little bit of the wick in today's candle below. It hadn't closed above it, remember, but it opened above it. The bottom of that candle on the body is where it opened. Right, so just bear that in mind. Let's have a look at the weekly, just quickly week, so I can get an idea myself. Look at the 4 hour, and then I'll slow it down. Okay, I just want to look at that quickly. Right, I've formed my opinion. Right, okay. Who would like to have the floor? Pietro, it's your idea. You're quite a confident oak. Would you like to have the floor? We'll come to EJ in a minute, Gerard.
Okay,
right? You want to have the floor on this
Roger, not-
strategy?
Okay, Roger, I'll go for it, but it's not my idea. It was Neo.
Oh, is it Neo's? I do beg your pardon. Okay. Well, it doesn't matter. If you got the floor, Neo's got the floor. He can take it if he's not a bit shy to do that. Nikki, Fani, Hera, anybody who's got the nerve to unmute and take the floor, we'll discuss the strategy. Okay, are you happy with it? Were everyone happy with Pietro? He's very well spoken. We'll maybe use him as the man on the spot, as they say. Go for it. And we want to do well because the Chicken Club have got to get a few votes in here. So no pressure. All yours.
Okay, I'll go for it. All right. First of all, just looking at that chart straight away, I will actually rather wait for a pullback. And for me personally, that's too high already. I'd rather wait for a pullback. Do you mind bringing up the stochastics, please, Roger?
For sure.
And the CCI at the same time.
Okay. Stochastic. What about the numbers? Do you want to change the algorithms?
Leave it at that. No, leave it like that, the 1566. That's great. Yes.
And the
CCI. Yeah, as well. Can you go with the default as well?
I think it's an oscillator.
Yeah.
Okay. Go for it.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. All right. First of all, I look at this and I see, okay, as I said, I think this is too high. And according to the stochastics, looks like there could be a pullback, but it's not a cross yet until it is crossed. I do remember this from one of the lessons. So, but it looks like it is going for a cross there, a death cross, a death cross on the stochastics. On the CCI, it's also telling me the price is just basically hovering there at the moment. So on the daily chart, I'll stay out. If you don't mind going to the 4-hour chart, Roger. And then there, okay, there, now getting conflicting information. It's showing going up, but it doesn't look like there's enough meat on the bones to go up much more, especially on that one candle that shows indecision quite far back. So I would stay out of this one totally. Just by looking at this, I'll stay out of it for the moment. Although
okay.
it could be a buy, but I'll stay out because there's just not enough movement.
Okay.
That's
right.
where I'll stop.
100%. Okay. Before I add to that, I just want to mention Chantel. Absolutely. Remind me. If I forget, remind me. Very important. Chantel, brilliant question. Remind me on that. Okay. Right. Okay. First thing, Vicky, Nikki mentioned, and she's quite right. Just check the calendar. We know there's nothing happening in the calendar on the euro, the AUD, but just try and bear that in mind. Quickly check your calendar. Talking to the devil. I'll just give it to you now. You might not have it, you might, but if you haven't, you're going to have it now, whether you like it or not. Just do that. Check the calendar. Nothing on that. Just make sure. If you watch cricket, just check the no ball. All fine. Then they go into looking at the what do you call it? The decision before when they go upstairs. Okay. All right. Yep. Okay. I just want to add. No, I won't add to that. I agree with what you said, but there's a couple things can be added, and I want somebody else to have a go. Nikki, or Chantel, or anybody else, Michael, anyone else want to have a go? He's made a couple of comments there. I'd like somebody else to come on that, but just give me 1 second. I've got your little boys' room. Too much tea. Just 1 second. Think about it at the same time. Sorry about that. Okay. Right. I'm assuming, of course, no one wants to sell. I'd rather buy the pullbacks rather than sell the way down. Okay, we're agreed on that. Okay, now anything to add? I've got a couple of things I could add to it, but I'd rather see you guys add to it at first because then we're all learning. Okay. Anybody want to add to that? The consensus seems to leave it alone. The person at it might say a buy here or a sell here or leave it alone. I'd like to anyone to add to that. Just wait for a moment or two before people get up the courage. Do you want to add something there, Vic? Keep saying Vic. Nikki or Fani or Gerard or anybody else? Chantel, Brian?
Can you just go to the daily chart? Just want to see something. Yeah. Okay, so on the 4-hour one, it looks like a little bit of range trading because it's hitting a lot of
Yeah,
resistance.
that's what I wanted to hear. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I would just say, yeah, it's hitting a lot of resistance based on the other candles.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. That's the one I was looking for. You look at the 4-hour candle, it's trading sideways, but every time it pops up, look at those little wicks there. The sellers are not coming in. There's no follow through at the moment to buy it there. And if you go to the daily, you can't find a target. You go to the weekly, you can't find a target. You go to the monthly, yes, you can, but the target's a light year away. That's a hell of a long way away. But you have to go back to these areas here, which is in 2020. We're talking 3 years, 4 months ago, before it was above that level there. What makes you think it's going to jump that high? Have we got the Swiss franc involved? No. Have we got the Canadian dollar involved? That's not too bad. Euro's a bit iffy. It's okay. It's not bad, but it's still a bit iffy. So it's not a particularly incredibly strong currency that could push it up. So for that reason, that was the third part I was going to add. I'm looking at the 4-hour. It's not broken above. And even if it take this guy up here, that's only 40 pips away. With a stop down here, it's not going to be worth it. So I would therefore agree with all of you, leave it alone. Are we all happy with that as to the reasons why? I take it we all are.
Yes, thanks.
Okay, you got that. Right, let's try another one. Leave it alone. Okay. Right, let's take another one. Let's go to our friend the Euro CHF, just for Fani's sake. Right, let's do this one. It's a bit quieter now because it's doing well his trade. He's getting a bit nervous yesterday. I saw through that, mate. Okay, anyway, let's have a look. We're on the daily. Yep, make sure. Right. Do you think this is worth entering now as a sell? Do you think it's worth entering now as a buy? What do you reckon? Would anybody be buying it? I think the answer would be no, right? I presume we're all going to be selling this. But if you are going to buy it, please tell me. I'd like to hear the reasons why. You might see something I'm not, but we're selling it. Swiss franc is strong. We're selling the euro. Do anyone think it's a possibility of downside here? Have we got enough meat on the bones? 80 pips. We've got to look at a fairly tight stop. 85 pips TP. We could probably squeeze a stop loss up there. It's moved up. This is on the daily. The stochastics on there are going to be a lot quicker, slower to respond than on obviously a 4-hour. As you can see, they're quicker to respond. Look at an hour, they will do. That's why, to be honest, I don't use them. I'm not saying you shouldn't use them. Absolutely, you should use them. Be happy with them. I don't really use them because that's telling me lagging what the price actually telling me there. Does that make sense? Sometimes you get what's called what's the word do you call it? A positive and negative divergence, where the oscillators, not the indicators, but the oscillators are not confirming a move up, or you get a disparity. Price is moving up a bit, but the oscillators are actually starting to move down for whatever reason. On the as that we call that slightly a negative divergence or a positive, something like that. I don't use it very often, but that being as it may, on the hourly it's come off a bit, so that would respond a bit quicker than it would, let's say, on the daily, clearly. But the bottom line is, Would anybody, for that reason, sell that one now? Sell it. Okay. Right. Now, we want to look for a better price, I think. It's not a bad price where it is now. Let's have a look at the 4-hour. It's trouble with the 4-hour. Again, like Nikki just pointed out there, we're getting a bit sideways. So I personally think I would not sell it now. If I'm in, which I am in, I would stay. But if I'm going to enter it, I'd enter it up here somewhere. Round about the 30 mark. It's only about 10 pips difference. 30 on the sells, not the buy, by the way. It's about 12 pips up. I would look to sell it rather than where it is now. It's a bit sideways. Okay. Are we all good with that? If you want to pick, somebody else wants to have a go at this to learn, pick up another instrument of your choice and we'll go through it together. Before I do that, it's quite an important question, this actually. I don't want to forget it. Chantel came up with. There's no such thing, to repeat myself, as a risk-free trade. There's going to be, and the whiplash can occur. The first thing I can very strongly tip you to do is not to panic. I did the dollar yen last time, and I did not panic. You get my point. If you both are taken in, you start panicking. That's number one. Don't do that. Take a deep breath. Do not do it. If you went in with 80 Rand as your risk, and you got to stop in if you're taking well, you don't need to go in with a stop loss. If you go in and they're both move up and down, take your buy and sell down, and you don't need to stop. One covers the other. There's no point putting a stop in at this stage. Okay. Right. Not to panic. Your risk is not that high because if you take the difference between with the spreads involved, there's probably about maybe a 40 pip difference. What trade you going with a 40 pip stop most of the time? Very rarely. So the risk is not that high. Just put in perspective. So not panic. Like I showed you, I didn't because I already knew the maths. Now you learn the maths. So not the panic. So remember, we sat and waited. Look at that indecision. And I mean this, longest I've ever seen such indecision where it didn't know whether to go up or down. The international world just couldn't make its mind up. So what happened? In the end, it decided to go down, right? Once it went down and the sell went into profit, I canceled or deleted, not canceled, I exited, I took a loss, okay, on my buy trade pretty damn quick. I didn't want it to come flying down here because then I take a bigger loss on my buy, obviously. But once it started moving to profit, I then took the loss on that one and I watched it come right. In the end, it did take a while. I think it took into the next day, actually. No, Friday, it must take into Monday. I can't remember anyway. Or that even, I cannot remember. Sorry, because there's so much going on the last couple of days. But the point is, I took a knock on the buy, but because I didn't panic, it came back on the sell. I didn't make much. I think I broke even or something. Or maybe I made I think I made a little bit more, made a few bucks. But the point is I didn't lose on it in the end. So my tip on that, when they're both taken in, hang 5. It might take a bit of time for the world to make their mind up which way they want to go on it. And then you might have your ask, excuse my language, rescued. Okay, that's the way I'd look at it. But I'll discuss it with you again after 2:30 if that scenario occurs. Okay. Does that sort of answer your question, Chantel and guys? Go on.
Yes,
Go on.
it does. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just one question from my side. I see that I've seen you generally leave your trade to run in that direction, and you put in a sell stop eventually and a trade profit, and you make quite a profit on that. And I normally just end up just closing it off as soon as seed starts going positive. So I'm just worried it goes negative again. So maybe I should do that. I don't know. I'm just saying.
No, it's not 100% of that. I might have been lucky that last time. Next time you might be lucky, I might be unlucky. That's the name of the game. But what I did do, I hanged on. I didn't put any stop loss, you see, because one hedged the other, or there's a bit of a gap, not an ideal hedge, far from it. But I didn't want to be, if it starts coming off, I didn't want the sell to come off enormously to make up the loss of the buy, because as I'm winning on the sell, the buy is losing. So as soon as it started to hover the way downwards and it went below my sell entry, remember it's hovering between these sort of levels here, right a lot there. You saw the body, the longest I've ever seen for about 15 or so minutes, nothing happening, up, down, up like this. Once it started dropping down there, I got out of this one here, right-clicked and clicked on the delete or exit or whatever, closed it. I took a bit of a knock at it, went down. As it went down a bit further, I did move my stop a little bit. I put a stop loss in, moved it a little bit down, and then I hanged on in there. When I'd covered my losses on the buy, hanged on a little bit further, modified the stop again, and eventually I got stopped out. But I didn't make much in it. But my area after that whipsaw was the damage limitation. That stage wasn't to make a big profit. That would have been a cherry on the top bonus. My era there was not to panic and do damage limitation. Are we all clear on that? So the beauty with this, you get that. You win on with when you have a disparity between the actual and the expected, and you don't lose on when it get the whipsaw. Then you're in a win-win situation. That's what I was trying to aim at. You see, Chantel, the problem is that when they overexpose, because they want to get Rome built in a day. They say this is all right. They see all these adverts with these enormous blue profits on Instagram, with all these guys posting on there, and they all want to say, yeah, I don't want to wait for a year to get my fancy car. I want to get it by the end of the week. What they do is massive risks. To get those massive returns, you've got to have massive risk profile. If you haven't got a massive risk profile, then don't expect massive returns and don't get overexposed. I'd rather make my money over a few months in a year than try and put everything, my house, my wife, my kids, and my dog, and you know, my whatever, to try and double my money by the weekend. No, it's up to you. If you've got that, I would say, why do this anyway? Go to the high rollers in the casino and then mortgage your house, the hilt, and go where the limit, there's no maximum in the private rooms or whatever they do there, and go to the roulette table and put it on black or red, and you could double your money in a spin. That's a hell of a return. But don't cry if it goes the wrong way and you're homeless.
Okay, sorry, Roger, I want to explain something to Gerard. He's got a question for me. Okay, Gerard, basically what the stochastic is basically showing momentum of the price, which way it's going, if it's going up, down, or sideways. Now, basically, you got the two lines. You got the blue line there and the dotted line. They are moving averages. Basically, if I remember correctly, in this case, the dotted line is a faster moving average. Sorry, no, I'm wrong. Sorry, the blue line's a faster moving average, and
I'm
the
sorry to
dotted
be
line
rude
is...
here. I'm sorry to be rude here, Pietro.
Okay.
This is not a class. These
Okay,
things are discussed in the classes, etc. What you can do is take each other's number, and Pietro can explain afterwards. But my job and your job in the trade room is not to do free training. Once you do indicator training, I'm going to get in trouble for allowing you to do it, because that takes away from the guys selling the educational package, what they're getting for free here. Sorry about that, but they're quite strong on that. And they often come into the training room under assumed names just to keep an eye on what's going on that level. So put your number down or exchange numbers or whatever, or you can ask me for Gerard's number. He says yes, you don't want to put it on here, I'll pass it on to you, and then you can help him out on that. Otherwise, I'd rather you didn't do it in here, because it's not to teach indicators, it's to clarify and go for a trading room. But but more or less what you did say there is correct. But yeah, it's got its uses, and I have used them in the past. If you wanna do that, Pietro happy to put his number on there. You can do that with pleasure on the chat line there. But to make sure you don't get a whole load of hundreds of guys bombarding you with free training. Just bear that in mind. Okay. But they're there in the classes, and as I say, if you want to do it on that basis. Okay. Sorry about that, Pietro, but they get a bit hectic on that. And I think that's only fair. The recording, by the way, someone will record. The recording is on the portal. You go down to the menu to social media and YouTube, the recordings are on there. Okay. Yeah, so that's the base of that. Well done, Chantel. You're getting with my banter. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem, Pietro. You're getting a lot of guys now wanting these free explanations. That's for the classes. I think that's between Gerard and Sam and all the rest of it. No, if you put your number up, they're going to want free training, and then you have your times tied up. Be careful of that. Their job, their response is to operate the platform and go to a couple of classes and get the basics so they're equipped to come to the trade room. If they still can't do the platform, they still don't understand the trade room, they still don't do the classes, unless you've got a magic wand to play, you might get bogged down with it. Now we'll go back to get quick. Everybody is looking for the quick A to Z in 1 second flat. Everybody is. And all people out there know that. And they sell the dream, not always from the reality. And the more desperate you are, the more problems you are, the more quickly you are likely to buy into the dream rather than the reality. The only get-rich-quick scheme I can think of is extremely high risk. Go to the casino, put whatever you got on red or black, but you make your choice on that, and hopefully you double your money. But if you can't risk to lose everything, you can't do that either. Anything else takes effort and time, capital, knowledge, and equipment. It's one of those things. If we come up with something else, we'll eradicate poverty overnight in the world. It's going to do a lot more than this now. I haven't checked it, but I bet it hasn't come back 200 pips. If it's come back 200 pips, there's a bomb gone off in Switzerland, or the UBS has gone bankrupt. And I don't count 10 pips as a pullback, by the way. See, I've just explained that a couple of times, and already people ask for the number. That you got to go to the classes, guys. I know from experience, you get dragged into it for free training, and that's what they paid for the classes for. And if they haven't, then they must pay for the class. It's not fair, the guys who did. But if you want to swap numbers, Gerard, Pietro, you let me know, and I know both your numbers, and I'll personally WhatsApp. But don't get involved in that. I'm afraid to be too good at something, it does take time to get the hang of it. Okay. Right. Euro CHF hovering, not much happening. I think most of it's going to be fairly quiet going to 2:30. CADJPY, anything happening? I presume you modify, not too close to protect. It's about nearly 50-60 pips in profit. That's fine. Coming off a little bit, but this looks like it might hold. That's fine. Let that run, give it a chance. CHFJPY, is there much happening on there? See, look at that. If you sold it down there, it's a 17 pip pullback, and already some buyers are trying to hold that area there. I wouldn't say it's too high to buy. It was too high there to buy it. It's too high there to buy it. I just think that I'd rather buy a pullback. That's just me. Okay, so if you want the stochastics and that, put them on, as long as you learn how to play with them, okay? There's a lot of them there. If you like them, it works, you obviously use it. Okay, and Cooley, hope to see you later on. Remember, guys, please, only those guys have got money in their account. We're allowing 100 on purpose. We want people who are serious traders who want to come in and put real money on it. Not guys on the freebie area who've got either no money or on a demo or whatever. They're thinking like a bit of a fun thing to do. If you want to play computer games, there's plenty of them to do. Not keeping out serious people who want to trade properly. Buy. You want to sell the Swiss franc. You're a braver man than me, Edwin. NZD Swiss franc. So you want to buy this, do you? All right, Edwin. Right, Nikki. Anybody out there? You have the floor. Nikki, Pietro, Fani, Gerard, anyone who wants to take the floor. Edwin wants to buy that one. Here's a strategy we can look at. We've got 10 minutes to 11. We'll go over 11. Still having fun or whatever. Anyone like to take the floor, whether you agree or don't agree or whatever, and give the reasons why?
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
I think it's way below down the 10-day moving averages, so it's not good for us to buy it now. And the candle from yesterday, it shows a bit of indecision, and the one before as well. Even the couple of days, the green ones, the two green ones.
Do you hear that, guys?
I think we better wait a bit for a bit of a confirmation, or let it go up a bit next to the at least over the 10-day moving averages, and it should also take down the 50-day moving averages then we can consider at least buy. That's what I think.
I agree with all that except the last part. I wouldn't be buying this at all. If it gets up here, I'll be looking to sell it down. I'm not sure it's going to get there. If it gets there, I'll be selling it down. Only time I would look to buying it and selling the Swiss franc is up here. If that get a confirmed candle above this one, situation change, I'll be buying it up there. But that's 500 pips away. Otherwise, I'm selling it. I would not be buying it now. I certainly wouldn't be selling it now. As Jacob completely correctly pointed out, look at indecision candle. Every time it pops up, the sellers are coming in. Every time it goes down, this is a daily chart, yeah? The buyers are coming in. So it's a situation where, like the Swiss franc on the JPY, people are nervous of buying at that level and the nerves are selling at this level. So there's a very low volumes at the moment because they're nervous of it. They don't want to buy it, but they don't see enough profit to try and sell at these levels. They're scared to sell it. On the Swiss franc, CHF, JPY, they're scared to buy it like I was. So this is low volume club. You get the idea. But there's a lot of upside before I'll buy that thing. Edwin, I agree with all those. I wouldn't be buying it, and unfortunately, I wouldn't be selling it either. This I would leave alone. I look at Swiss franc quite closely every single day to see possibilities of buying the franc at this stage of the game. If I can't find an entry, I move on. So I thought the biggest possibility is a pound franc, but as Farney says, we want to get a better price. Okay. Okay, fine. Hope you're happy with that, Edwin. Thanks for the question.
Roger.
Yeah.
Yes, with your strategy, when do you consider a currencies overbought? Like when using the RSI, the moving averages.
Yeah, very difficult to answer that one. Very good question, actually. It's a bit of a tightrope act that when I think it's overbought or oversold. At the moment, not the Swiss franc is overbought. I'm looking more at NZD. I think it's a little bit undervalued as regards the Swiss franc. However, and that's where indecision comes in. But when would I think it might be a value where it's slightly overvalued is when I'm going to look at maybe a bounce to these sort of levels here. It's not far away. It's only 30 pips away, but I'd look at maybe this level or even better, this one here, which is what, 40 pips away. If you can get to around these levels here, I might look at it, but I'll wait for confirmation. It doesn't fall off. I wouldn't go in there if I need confirmation back down before I sell it. But if no confirmation, no evidence of sales, all I'm seeing is green, I might look at this sort of level here and have another check. If it's not there, I'll have another check. But I'm looking for an entry where the confirmed move down to sell it, whether it be there or there or there or even up there. I don't know. But at this stage, I'll be looking for that. Because what I'm saying there is not so much it's so undervalued. It's like the Swiss franc, the Swiss against the JPY. It just looks to me that the volumes are thinner because people are getting scared to sell it at this level. But they're scared to buy it because every time it bounces up, 18 pips, the sellers are coming in on the daily. It's not a 15-minute one, it's a daily. Just remember, a daily chart, 15 minutes, and the sellers are coming in. The sellers come on the daily after 15 pips. It's just not enough. So that's the reason why we want to sell it, but we just, no, we can't do it at that price. I hope that sort of answers your question. If someone explain it better, they can. I just don't think that the risk is worth. Always, it's like anything in business. This is a business. It's all about risk evaluation. And I've looked at risk evaluation, selling it now, and I think there's better fish to fry elsewhere. Thank you, Adrian. Long as we've got on the same page. Because I'm not scared to ask somebody else to explain. Just give me 2 seconds. Hello, Anifa. Yeah, we are doing one today, but you have to have an account with us at Quick Trade to be able to do it. With Quick Trade. Okay. Then okay, we're doing it. I'm actually in the trading room till 11 o'clock. So I'm just answering this because We go way back, and I like you. But just to get to the point, thank you. We do a CPI session. We're starting at 2 o'clock on the trading room ID. Yeah. Okay. But only people got to, if you got an account elsewhere, preferably, no, it must be with us. Okay. That's 100%. No problem. Okay, no problem if that's 100%. You can have an account, 2, 3 brokers, some do, but it must have at least one account with us. I take your word for it. I'm not going to check. No, I heard you. I know that. You just told me. And I'm not even going to bother checking because I believe you. So that's fine. At 2 o'clock, I've got to move on in the trading room. 2 o'clock, see you there. Okay. Fantastic. Thanks. Bye. Okay. Right. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. We'll just do a recap then before we close up. See you at 2. AUD CAD. We'll start off with that. How's that doing? Not much, but he's in profit. NZD CAD was another one. See how that's doing. Anything happening there? I can't remember what we got in on. Let's just check. NZD CAD 55, bit of profit, 20 pips. Okay, let it run. EUR CHF 23. Is anything happening there? Break even. Okay. US dollar yen we're out of. Hit the TP unless you modify the, then you're making more money. What a pleasure. And the other one was the CAD JPY. Last one wasn't too bad either. That's doing fine as well. So not too bad, guys. Okay. Anything else before we close up till later on? And great for the turnout. Please support me, guys, because otherwise we might axe the trading room. If we get 10, 15, 20 people, the boss will start thinking what the hell we're paying for a trading room for if nobody's attending. So I'm glad. Well, thank you for reminding me it was over 50 people. We need to keep that up there. We want to support the trading room because I do believe it gives a lot of value to me as well as you guys. So please support it on a regular basis. Other guys, you know, are trading, bring them in. We need to keep the ratings up. The tendencies up. Okay.
Hi,
guys.
Mr. Roger. Real quickly
for it.
before you leave.
No, please.
I heard you mention that we have CPI once again, and we're going to have a session at 2. So for those that do have a Quick Trade account, do we get an invite from like the Quick Trade WhatsApp group, or how does that work? Okay,
right. What happens is this: you've got to have not any accounts, not a demo account. It's got to be a live funded account, and not with 200-300 rand. How much you got? But 200 rand, you can't do it. It's too small. But you got a properly funded account. Absolutely. Then you just go onto the Zoom like you're here in the trading room. It's exactly the same ID. So it's like you join this morning at 9:30, you'll be joining at 2 o'clock. Same principle. You got that?
All right. Thank you very much.
Before you go, guys, a few new guys are happy to say in there. I'm just going to put my details in here.
Right.
WhatsApp. Just a second, I'll put that down. Number. This is only for guys, again, with funded accounts. Please don't bother me on demos. That's just for playing around with. Okay. And 200-300 rand is not a funded account. You must have a funded account. I don't know what, maybe 1,000 rand, or I don't know, whatever. 2,000. If you got more than 2.5, you want to take this seriously, 2,500 rand or $150, definitely let me know and I'll add you to my VIP group. And there you get all this stuff posted on there. It's a group WhatsApp. You get all posted on there. It's convenient. But so try and get some money in, not for me, for your own sake, because on small money, the odds are against you being successful. You can't diversify. You've got very little free margin. You get a battle. So if you can, try and get some money into your account so you can diversify and give yourself a chance. Okay. You might be a member, Leandro. I recognize the name. If you're with Chantel, Trade for Africa, I can't load you. That's another good point. Trade for Africa, they do their own thing. You got to go to Chantel, Trade for Africa. I can't put you on the group, I'm told. Her client's got to be left alone to her. But if you're not with Trade for Africa and you got 10 grand and you're not on the WhatsApp group, you should be. If you've got a morning update, economic update, you'll be on there. And if you're not, tell me. You put that number in, tell me, and I'll upload you after we finish the trading room here. Okay. I'm just going to write that down because I think you're on there, Lee Undercobe. I think you should be on there, unless you're with Are you with Trade for Africa, Chantel? What's it? Oh, you are there. Well, that doesn't matter then. Okay, you are there. I thought you would be. Okay, good stuff. Right. Okay, take a note of the number. If you want to be a member of the group, let me know. And then once you've added funds, obviously let me know. Okay, good stuff. Okay, guys, catch you those who can make it at 2 o'clock. Cheers, hey, and go well.